Packers are playing and all the fucking red zones are on, and I have to sit here and watch it on mute, and I have to watch the Packers. I get pissed.
See, I get so amped up for like the beginning of football that if I get all amped up by noon and then I have to sit there for 3 hours and then the Dolphins play, it just takes away a lot of my momentum. I'm just not ready for it.
No way, man.
And if I'm not ready, they don't play well.
Because it's like my momentum keeps me going. The Packers' momentum keeps me going throughout all the games. So
why do you think the Dolphins played like shit on Sunday morning? Because I woke up a half hour before the game.
I mean, there's no other excuse for the fact that the fucking Dolphins suck.
F you, let's get loaded. Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first, because we finished last.
You almost messed that one up.
I like that. I like the intro with a little Tom Petty there.
Rest in peace to Tom Petty. Is it confirmed that he's dead now?
He's dead.
That's a real thing. I don't want to make light of the situation, but
I just did.
It was just so hard to hear that. Is he alive? Is he dead? I mean, the waiting's the hardest part.
Was that the worst throw that Tom Brady's ever made in his career?
You totally just killed my joke, man.
Sorry.
You have an excuse though because you don't know many Tom Petty songs. I'm assuming based on how young you are.
I don't get it. I'm like 30.
You're leaving me out to dry here. That's 2 jokes you've killed.
I know Tom Petty.
Regardless, we are back with our Week 5 preview pod after letting all of our fans down, missing our Week 4 instant reactions pod. That was my fault. I totally apologize. That whole day was kind of a wash. DJ couldn't even maneuver our Twitter account because
I was sleeping.
Yeah, freaking trying to sleep one off. I had shit going on in the afternoon, so I couldn't record the podcast. So as a tandem, we failed last week.
Yeah, I was real fucking... I didn't plan on getting that drunk. And then, once I get out to the bar, and I don't go out and drink that much now I'm married and have a kid.
So many lies.
Once I start drinking, I get down a dangerous path if I'm out, past a certain time, then it's I'm not coming home until game time. Game over.
Do you, gosh, that's terrible. I felt the same way a couple times earlier this week, so we're even.
So... I want to hit on Cam Newton before we get to the other part.
All right, let's hear your words.
I love this. So I'm not going to get. It's going to be fun. So I understand Cam Newton should have said what he said, 100%. I agree with that. But the one thing that I don't I'm an African American, right?
You're a African American, yes.
I don't like it when black people are angry about white people saying the N-word, because they shouldn't, and they 100% shouldn't, and then go back and say the N-word to each other. Nobody should be using it. If you're mad about them, it's a derogatory term.
You're making me uncomfortable.
What?
You're making me uncomfortable.
No, this gets good. So, if Cam Newton would have sat up there, or something like that, guy with kids, and if he ever said something, or me, or you ever says, I understand the pain that women go through when they have a baby. If women freak out on him, or freak out on me for saying that they understand that, I'm gonna be pissed. Do you know what I'm saying? It's it's almost like a hypocritical. Everybody feels pain. We can empathize with you. Don't get angry at us though, a man, if we say something like, "Oh, I understand what it's like to have a baby," or "I understand that you're going through pain with a baby," and then don't come after me and be like, "You've never had a fucking baby, blah blah blah. You'll never understand what it's like to be a woman." Blah, 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 because then it's just reverse discrimination.
See, I think Cam laughed because it was a girl asking the question, but I still think, if depending on what mood he was in, no matter who asked a question like that, Cam would have the right to laugh at them because the reporter can know what a 9 route is or a 7 route, but they're not going to understand the exact concept to every single play. So Cam has the right, in my opinion, to laugh at that question regardless of the gender.
He should have said like a reporter talking about routes,
Yes.
not a woman.
That's what I was getting at. That'd be the way to do it, but I don't know. It is what it is. It's going to be a non-story, and by the time this podcast released, anyways.
I just find it funny because if like I came out here and said I understand what it's like to get pregnant, I would get just roasted by women saying they'll never understand. It's like, well, I can understand. I've seen it. I've watched it. Like everybody has pain. Fuck that.
Right.
Don't come after me when it's like the opposite. It's just, I thought it was funny. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Well, this is our Week 5 preview pod, so let's jump into your favorite segment of the week.
Oh, yeah. Well, fuck Matthew Berry love-hate tracker. Only love, tracking how bad little Matthew Berry's love-hate is doing this year. Again, only loves.
This is such a tongue twister every week, but you've gotten it down. It's taken 5 weeks, but I think you nailed it.
We're going to do... We track by NFL.com scoring, shove it up ESPN's ass and Matthew Berry's ass. He's hitting an outstanding 12 of a total 36, so he's averaging about 4 a week here.
Wasn't that last week's stat?
What?
I think that was his numbers after last week. I don't think you updated it.
Oh yeah. Well, no, he's at 12 of 36 right now. Going into this, and then after I update this, now that you mentioned it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So it's what is math?
Math is something we do not do on this podcast.
Okay. So let's start it off right here. Russell Wilson, 27.6 points, hit.
Boom.
Good one.
Sign Matthew Berry up.
What?
Sign Matthew Berry up. Follow that guy. That's a good hit.
Phillip Rivers, 19.88 points, hit.
On a roll.
John Watson, 33.7 points,
Ooh,
nailed it.
This guy is on fire.
Matthew Berry is bouncing back. Like, he's making a name for himself. But hold the records.
Hold the phone.
This is where it goes downhill. Joe Mixon, 4.8 points, miss. Christian McCaffrey, 4.9 points, miss. Tariq Cohen, 4.8 points, miss. Golden Tate, 3.10 points, miss. Not done. Devontae Parker, 6.9 points, miss. Rashard Matthews, 4.9 points, miss. How many did I just name off there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 misses. Charles Clay, 11.2, hit. And finally, Jimmy Graham, 6.1 points. I called that a miss. I can't call a hit guy half a point lower than Charles Clay when he didn't have a touchdown. So, again, he got 4 hits. So he started out pretty good with his quarterbacks, and then he picked a bunch of guys that didn't even score 5 points.
Yeah. Rough go at it, man. How come ESPN doesn't evaluate him like we do? If we did, he wouldn't be having a job anymore. I told you this years ago when you still liked Matt Berry. I'm like, dude, why does he get the job that he gets? He should be in the league, and the person that wins the league each year should get to do this stuff the next year. He shouldn't just be entitled to this.
Did you see what I commented from my page on ESPN's? They posted Matthew Berry's love game today.
I saw that. That was good.
Incredible. Go check out ESPN's fantasy Twitter account and check the first or only reply or something like that on that one, and then listen to our podcast. But you're already listening to our podcast, but it's good.
And while you're at it, follow us on Twitter at LoadedBox. Let's jump into that Pick 6 segment, man.
Let's go!
So I feel bad. I'm gonna say a quote here. I'm usually not a guy of quotes, but I was once told this from a wise man. He was so wise that I don't remember who told me this.
Yeah.
But there are 2 types of people in this world. Those who are humbled and those who are about to be humbled. And after last week, I am now humbled after talking all of that shit.
Oh, I thought you said I'm not because you spelled it. You typed in. Never mind.
Good talk. I failed. I had 3 what I thought were guarantees. I went 1 and 2. You, since you've already been humbled, it didn't matter. You went 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah. I'm going back to what made me better last year.
The eye test.
The eye test. I'm just going to I'm not looking at any numbers. I'm just going.
I like it. Well, year to date, I am 8 and 4. You are 5 and 7. So I'm still doing good. You've got some work to do. So let's go into week 5 right now.
Go.
First one on my board is the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. And I'm taking under on the point total here, under 47. Dude, get this. Did you know the Los Angeles Rams lead the NFL in points per game with 35.5?
Yeah, I actually think I did hear that one.
Regardless, that is stupid, and it's not going to keep up despite how good they've looked. Seattle, they're allowing 19 points per game. I think that number is skewed. I think that defense is better than that. They allowed 33 to Tennessee, and then they've given up 18, 9, and 17. So I think the Rams are going to be closer to that. Seattle's offense isn't a juggernaut by any means. I think they'll struggle as well. I think the Rams' defense is better than what they've played. I think this one's going to be low scoring. I have a 21-20 feel with Seattle coming out on top, but ending about a touchdown below the over-under here.
Every year when the Rams play the Seahawks, they keep them to like 6 or 9 points. So
yeah.
And it's usually like a 9-6 game where the Rams win, and they play them well always.
And that's when Seattle's good.
Offense.
Yeah, and that's when Seattle's good.
This is their best offense, so even if they do score some points, I don't see Seattle scoring much at all.
Right. Yeah, I really like that under. I'm gonna continue on the LA train here with my next game. Despite not winning a game this year, looking sort of underwhelming at times, the Los Angeles Chargers, you're going to give me a field goal at the Giants. I'm going to take it, but I really like it if you can get the Chargers at 3.5. I was looking into this one. These teams are identical. They are the same damn team. They both average under 20 points per game. They both allowed like exactly 23 points per game. They both average less than 68 rushing yards per game, and they both throw for 270 yards per game. They both suck against the run, neither can run, and both allow 360 yards per game. They are literally a carbon copy of each other. This one has the makeup of a close game to me. It's that feeling where the last team that has the ball is going to be able to decide it. If history repeats itself, it's going to be the Giants probably kicking a game-winning field goal.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Chargers cannot win a one-possession game. They added to their streak again last week. I think now that they lead the league over the last 2 years with like 15 games losing by one possession. So I don't like the Chargers to necessarily win this, but it's going to be close, and I have really no faith whatsoever in the Giants either. So if I can get this at 3.5, I really like it, but I'm still taking the Chargers at +3 against the Giants.
Looking at this game, I don't like it. West Coast to East Coast. I don't know what time they're playing, actually. I should have looked at that, so I'm going to look right now while I'm rambling.
Nice.
They're playing at noon, so I like it even less than I did originally.
Yeah.
So I'm not touching that with the Chargers traveling all the way over to the East Coast at New York. I'm staying away from that. 3.5 or 3 points seems like a trick. Yes.
Well, since I cheated on your next one, I know that you already disagree with me on this one, but I like my final one of the Pick 6 segment. I like the Lions -2 at home against Carolina. So last week on the preview pod, you told me not to buy into the Detroit hype or the Vikings hype. This week, I'm telling you, do not buy into the Carolina Panthers hype. A win over New England is impressive, but New England's defense has been terrible this year. They give up points to everyone. It's not going to be the same when Carolina goes up against Detroit. Detroit's allowing under 18 points per game. And we're talking about Carolina, who has a decent defense every once in a while. Well, Detroit just survived against a really good defense in Minnesota. This is being favored by less than a field goal at home. I think that the Panthers are kind of the hot pick right now in Vegas after last week, so I think it drove the line down. So I'm kind of glad that Carolina was able to beat New England. But as long as this line is 3 or below, I will take Detroit. And you might as well run into yours because I know you're going to disagree.
I'm just going to fall right into mine. I'm going opposite of that. I'm taking Carolina +2. Here, I'm just betting on Cam Newton. I think that he plays. I think that momentum going into this week helps him play. The Cam Newton's thing is he plays better when he can't think. And, I mean, that showed when he was up there talking on the podium this last week. He was thinking too much. So he plays better when he can't think. And if the Detroit is getting a pass rush, the coaches are moving him around out of the pocket. They change their game plan and make him like move and do athletic things and throw. That's when he's most accurate. He is one of the least accurate quarterbacks with a clean pocket. He sucks when he has a pocket clean, but he jumps up to goes from like a 24 QB rating to like a, and I know it's somewhere in that area, so I'm just throwing it out there because I heard this stat, to like a 94 QB rating to when he's on the move and getting pressure. So move the guy around. I expect the coaches to do that more. Lots of not gadget plays, but just lots of moving the pocket so that Cam's not standing in the pocket thinking. So I'm gonna bet. I'm just betting on Cam Newton in this game.
They just looked like so much shit up until that New England game, and New England has given up. What was it, like 40-something against Kansas City, 20 the next week, and then I think 33 in back-to-back weeks. So
this is a guy who was in a Super Bowl just like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, and
so
I said as soon as he has some sort of injury that messes with his shoulder, it's going to kill him because he doesn't throw with his legs. He throws all arm.
Yeah, but he's overthrowing guys. He's just not. It's like he's just missing them. I think that this could be a momentum builder. Even though it's New England, that's exactly what he needed.
Well, now that racist girl's in his head, though, too, that reporter.
Yeah, even better.
Did you see that whole deal where like they went back to like 2013?
Yeah, that was hilarious. That guy dropped a bomb on her.
Dude, no one's going to be able to run for president or any sort of like position ever again because of Twitter, because someone's going to go back and no one's going to be qualified. The only people that can be president in like 20 years are going to be those who are completely off the grid right now.
Yeah,
that's a hot take. That's my bold prediction from 20 years from now.
All right.
Before you go into your next ones, I was teasing a bonus pick this week on Twitter. I will go real quick. Buffalo +3 at Cincinnati. Buffalo and Kansas City are actually the only undefeated teams left against the spread anyways.
Shit titties.
I think Buffalo has the opportunity to win this puppy outright. You're going to give me a field goal. I'm not really that impressed with Cincinnati, even though they have kind of turned it on the last 2 weeks. Buffalo's defense is really good. I think this is going to be a little bit more low scoring as well. But if you're going to give me a field goal and a team that I think can actually win the game, I will take Buffalo as well. Bonus pick.
So, don't you think that statistically then you should bet against Buffalo?
No.
I mean, once a team is like winning more and more, you're better off betting against that because the odds are that they're going to lose.
Oh, like at some point they're probably going to come closer to like 500 against the spread.
Especially Buffalo.
Yeah, that is a good point. That is one good way to look at it.
I'll get back to that.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump. I've got two now since I gave my Carolina one away. Green Bay, I'm taking +2.5 at Dallas.
Homer.
Not a homer pick. David Bakhtiari, Brian Bulaga, Mike Daniels, Ty Montgomery, Devontae Adams. I'm betting. I know that the two tackles are going to play. Devontae looks like he's definitely going to play. Montgomery.
Wait, Devontae didn't die?
No.
Oh my gosh, I thought he was dead.
Mike Daniels will be back, so they're almost coming. They're coming at full health. Perfect time. Week 5 going against the Cowboys. Rodgers is going to be totally different. He's going to be able to drop back, move around like you're used to him seeing, hold the ball for longer, and make you pay, just like he did against Dallas in the playoff game last year. So I'm taking Green Bay +2.5 in that one.
I almost took Dallas actually against the spread. I think just because of the fact that it was at Dallas is why I sort of liked them. But I don't know. Dallas really turned me off last week after I put them in my pick 6 selection. And they ended up losing outright to the Rams after they were covering for a little while, and then they lost outright. So not a lot of faith in them right now. I don't really have a great read on Dallas, whereas Green Bay, I know they're going to be pretty much in the game no matter who they're playing unless it's against Atlanta. So I don't really feel like I want to bet against Green Bay. I don't think that's a wise decision with my money.
And then lastly, I've got Buffalo, Cincinnati under 39.5. That's a low one. I love it. You mentioned Buffalo has a great defense. Cincinnati has an equally really good fucking defense. Like, underrated good.
Underrated for sure, yeah.
No, but they're good. Like, both these teams have good defenses, and I think average offenses. So you can see two defenses just beating the shit out of offenses where you could almost see defense is the reason that one of these two teams could be winning in this game. I like it way under, like 10 to 12 under.
I always get nervous when I see an over-under that's in the 30s. It makes it really hard to bet the under. Like I said earlier,
that's what makes me more excited about it. They want you to bet the over.
They do want you to bet the over, and like you said, this has like a 10 to 12 feel to it.
Yeah.
So if I had to take the point total on this one, I would go under. I'm just more comfortable taking the Bills at +3. That's why I got my recommendation as a bonus pick this week. So you're welcome to all those who want to go 4-0 this week.
Eye test, boys. I'm back.
Nice.
And girls.
Oh yeah, shit. We got to get that girl on the podcast.
Yeah.
This has been a good week for that.
What was her name again?
I don't know.
Did he make tits?
Let's not go down that road. Let's talk a little daily fantasy sports.
All right.
Dude, I was looking through it last night, and this is a strange week for quarterbacks. Ben Roethlisberger is the fourth most expensive fantasy quarterback this week. He hasn't reached 20 fantasy points in a single game this year. So I wanted to ask you, is the offense just not clicking, or is this the beginning of like the decline for Roethlisberger?
They're playing at home. That's why he's that expensive.
But it's also against Jacksonville, who's got a legit pass defense.
Doesn't matter. He's playing at home.
Is this the beginning of his decline, or are they just in a funk?
I don't think it's the beginning of his decline. I think this is just Ben Roethlisberger playing on the road. It's not like he's changed what he's done for the last 3 years. Now that he's playing at home, he's going to have a huge game. That's why he's $7,900.
I know, he's just so damn expensive. I'm not trying to say that I'm going to use him. I was just really shocked when I was scrolling through the top quarterbacks, and he was the fourth most.
Yep.
I've got, if you're looking medium.
Third most. Well, third most. Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, my math was off yesterday. I apologize.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, so I could have changed before that.
Oh, you know what, though? I bet I was looking at Thursday through Sunday, so you might have missed Brady or someone.
Yeah, I'm just doing Sunday.
Gotcha. If you're looking for a quarterback in the medium price range, I wanted to ask you, do you have more faith this week in Matt Stafford or Carson Wentz? They're both $7,600. Stafford is versus the Panthers. Wentz is versus the Cardinals.
I would go Matt Stafford. Carolina's defensive backfield isn't that good. Their run defense is better, so I like Stafford in that game. Plus, they're at home. I still am a little bit afraid of Arizona's D-backs a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as much. But I just always feel like they're a threat to make some big plays at any time. So I'm feeling more comfortable with Detroit, with Matt Stafford, sorry.
Yeah, I was just looking at like some medium range prices on like quarterbacks that are medium priced. That's usually where I like to go. I usually don't like to blow my wad on an expensive quarterback. I like to go medium. So those were the two I kind of had some faith in. I was looking at it though, and Stafford is going against Carolina. Carolina's the seventh best pass defense in fantasy, but like you said, I don't think really they're that good. I think that stat is skewed because they played San Francisco, who was trash that game. They played against the Bills, who only scored 3 points that game. And then when they played New England and New Orleans, they gave up a ton of points.
Yep.
So I really think that's skewed. But then Wentz is going against the 13th best pass defense. So middle of the pack. But at the same point, like I said, I think I have a little bit more faith in Stafford. So if you're looking mid-range quarterback, that's where I would go this week.
Beautiful.
You want to talk about you want to go position by position, or you want to go?
Sure. We're switching it up again, huh?
Let's switch it up. Talk about your quarterback.
So I like either. So I was deciding between two because quarterbacks are so weird. I went low. I'm probably favoring Aaron Rodgers because of some of my other positions. But I like both quarterbacks in that game. I expect that to be a higher scoring game, the Packer versus Cowboy game. So I like Dak throwing against whoever's playing quarterback for the Packers this week. And they're going to have to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. So either way, splurge on Rodgers. He's going to have a lot of points this week. This feels like a 4 to 5 touchdown passing week for Rodgers. Or Dak should also have a good game here.
I feel
at
like
7,700 if you're looking for middle of the road and want to spend some more money elsewhere.
That's a good middle of the road. Or you probably have some. You must have some hell of a bargain guy because Rodgers was $9,500.
I like my lineup.
All right, well let's jet over to some running backs. So I was leaning. So if you go bargain elsewhere, if you go expensive in that
Like
same game, I'm all about Zeke. He's $8,900. He's the third most expensive back behind Le'Veon and Kareem Hunt. But I like him going against Green Bay. Green Bay's 19th against the run. If you take out Zeke's game against Denver, he's averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. So he's worth the money. And in those 3 games where he's scored over those 20 points per game, he's had over 20 carries and over 4 catches in all those games. So you know he's going to get touches. And you as a Packers fan, you probably remember this really well.
Nope.
Last year when he played the Packers in the regular season, 28 carries, 157 yards. And in the playoffs, 22 carries, 125 yards. So he knows exactly how to run against that team.
Get it, Gilsley. Yeah, I can't argue with that one. I don't like when the Packers have to play a good power run team like that keeps running. They get worn down way too easily. They have no depth. They have no defensive line depth. They have average linebackers. I'm giving you guys all the secrets right now, but it is what it is. So
doesn't that make you a little leery to use a guy like Dak though if they're just going to run like that?
No, because you have to keep up with Aaron Rodgers eventually.
Yeah, that is true. Because they did have to keep up.
That's what happened in the second half last year
in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. So, question here for you.
All right, questions.
Struggling medium-priced running backs with big potential. You got Jay Ajayi, $7,300 versus the Titans.
Garbage.
Melvin Gordon, $7,100 at the Giants. Which one of these guys that just struggled last week that are now mid-range price, so they're affordable guys, which one would you go with this week?
Well, I have him. I've got one of these 2 guys in my lineup.
Oh, it's an easy question for you then.
Yeah, so I'm going Melvin Gordon. I hate Jay Ajayi's offensive line, and I don't like that he's done nothing in the last two weeks at all. Where Gordon has always touchdown potential, but you're playing New York Giants, who are pretty damn good pass defense, but a pretty bad rushing defense against the run.
28.
So I'm thinking, yes, I was looking. I was going to say they were in the bottom 5 or 6 there, as well as the defense going against my next running back, who's the same thing. But yeah, I'm 100% taking Melvin Gordon this one.
Yeah, so Gordon was going against the 28th run D. Ajayi was against the 21st run D. So they both have okay matchups. But I'm with you. I like Gordon. Miami basically hasn't scored the last 2 weeks. And in order for you to win in daily fantasy, you need to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make Miami prove that they can actually do that before I use any of those guys. And, yeah, Gordon struggled last week. But prior to last week, he had over 13 fantasy points in every game. So I'm going to buy low here on Gordon. Only $7,100 against the Giants' crappy defense. I'm all about that.
That's the thing I was talking about last week. I had a good week in FanDuel. I just didn't wake up in time to get a lineup in. So I would have made some money with the guys because I like to play the guys that I tell you guys to play. I would have made money besides Julio Jones. I nailed Chris Hogan. I told everybody to take Travis Kelce this week because he had a shitty week before.
Yep.
I'm saying the same thing here. People aren't going to be taking Melvin Gordon. He had a shitty week last year, so people dropped the value of this guy for some dumb reason, and he'll come out and he'll have a great week this week. Travis Kelce, I nailed last week.
Yeah, you
I also
did.
told you I was going to take Charles Clay, but I told everybody I love Travis Kelce this last week. I'm saying the same thing about Melvin Gordon here.
Nice. Yeah, and I feel bad. I don't feel bad, actually. But I ripped on you a little bit for some of those picks, and you proved me wrong. Last week just wasn't my week.
Yeah, my picks for everybody, I think, besides tackle that fucker. Everybody besides Julio Jones because of injury.
The injury, yeah.
Can't really do. I had a good week.
Do you have any other running backs you want to chat about?
Yeah, Todd Gurley, 7,800 versus Seattle.
Oh, wait. You're back on Todd Gurley? You hate Todd Gurley.
Yeah, but 7,800 versus Seattle, good pass D, bad rush D. Oh, did we rewind? Did I just say that? Really good pass defense in Seattle, but their rush defense is awful. They are not good. They are right there, I think, around 28 in that area. I don't know exactly. I was looking at it today, and I can't remember the number, but it was bottom 7 of the league in rush defense. People continue to run all over Seattle and everybody thought they're going to have this great run defense. Take Todd Gurley, 7,800 should have a game. He's going to catch the ball because those linebackers can't cover running backs, and he's going to run for yards.
Yeah, honestly, Gurley was going to be one of my picks this week. I just ended up seeing Gordon at 7,100 and thought maybe I would prefer that to Gurley. And at some point, like, is that whole like statistical thing going to even out? Like, is Gurley finally going to slow down? He's been on a heater.
Yeah.
So, receiver, is A.J. Green worth his $8,300 price tag now that old Billy Lazor has taken over and the Bengals started scoring touchdowns? The Bengals play the Bills.
Okay.
So A.J. Green's last 2 games since they've brought in Lazor as the new offensive coordinator, 22 points and 15 points. Now he's going against Buffalo, who has the 12th best pass defense. So I'm saying, like, he's been on a heater right now. Is he worth $8,300 price tag?
No.
Hot take.
No, I mean, I already predicted that game to go under 39.5. I think those two defenses are too good. 83 and 100 is way too much. Don't touch that. Don't waste your time on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way, but I think he's going to be one of those guys where, like you said, he might be in more lineups just because of the fact that he's been turning it on lately. But I was looking at some people that were around him with the price tag. I'd rather have Dez at 7,800 versus the Packers. But if you look at the next guys down, I would take a chance on Green over DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Tyreek Hill. Those are the next kind of guys in line. So I'm either going to go like expensive, I'm going to go with Dez Bryant, or I'm going to go find some bargain guys. And
highly disagree.
Well, I'll let you chat in here, but I do have a bargain guy that I want to talk about at receiver as well. Do you want to talk to your guy, or do you want me to do my bargain guy?
I thought you said you were going to do that just now. Did you not just say that?
In a roundabout way.
Uh-huh.
Bargain play of the week. We should get a horn for this. Larry Fitzgerald, $6,700 at Philly. Old Fitz, has had double-digit points 3 of the 4 weeks. Now he's going against the Eagles, who are 31st in fantasy points against the pass. And here's the stat of the day.
Oh, I love this.
The Eagles versus slot receivers the last 2 weeks, and that's where Fitz lines up quite often. Sterling Shepard, 7 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown. And then last week, your boy Keenan Allen, 5 catches, 138 yards. Fitzgerald at $6,700 is a steal, and he's a must-own in daily fantasy this week.
I'm going to go opposite on that. This is the reason I told you take Melvin Gordon is because he played crappy last week. Don't take Larry Fitzgerald because he's playing well. A lot of people are going to be on him.
He didn't have that great of a game, though, last week. It was 2 weeks ago when he went off.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I'm not on that train. I don't buy into Larry Fitzgerald. He's too old.
DJ's lying to you guys. He just doesn't want you using him.
Nope.
What other receivers you got your eye on?
So I'm sticking with that. Since I've got Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott, I like guys on both those teams because I think it's going to be high scoring. So I grabbed 2 guys, wide receivers, from that team. From those 2 teams. So I got Jordy Nelson at 8,600. Should have a big game. And then Terrence Williams, the biggest fucking bargain ever, $4,900.
You need that if you buy Rodgers, though.
Yes. And you know what's funny is I searched him out right away just to see how much he cost because I wanted him. So I was like, fuck, I'm taking him. I honestly, is Dez good?
Is he good?
Yeah, is he good?
I love Dez Bryant.
I mean, is he good now, though? He's not playing well at all.
I don't know if I think it's just limited opportunities with Dez. I
actually think the Packers might have a cornerback. And his name's Kevin King, and he's shadowing guys now.
Oh, look at this.
So I think Dez Bryant has an unproductive week, and Terrence Williams eats.
What about Bryce Butler? I almost like Bryce Butler better than Terrence Williams.
You might have me on that one, but I'm going to go with Terrence Williams.
Yeah, I say, because I think we both kind of were on the Bryce Butler hype train there for a little while. But yeah, $4,900 with the potential of, like, I would even consider, like, 60 yards and a touchdown a really good week for Terrence Williams. And so, like, if you're getting, like, 15 points out of a guy for $4,900, I don't know if you can do much better than that. And
then I also like DeAndre Hopkins, 7,700 versus a porous Kansas City passing defense this year, receiving defense. I think he could put up a lot of yards, and Deshaun Watson's going to throw him the ball a ton. How many targets? I know he had 10 catches last week.
The dude leads the world in targets. Like, every week right now, and since Watson's taken over.
I don't imagine that to stop.
Yeah, that's probably a solid play. We've talked about this before. DeAndre Hopkins is in talent-wise, he's in the top 5 to 7 receivers in the NFL easily. It's just he's literally, they keep showing that stat about how many different quarterbacks that the Texans have used, and they're right up there with the Jets and the Browns, and I mean it's basically those 3 teams. So
I love DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah. Tight end. So Travis Kelce, over 20 fantasy points in 2 of 4 games this year. You comfortable using him moving forward? Like every week, would you put him up there with Gronk status as like a must-own guy, or are you still not sold on Alex Smith?
Well, Alex Smith is going to sell it to Travis Kelce, but now I'm going to play the percentages on this one. He's costing too much, and everybody's going to grab him. Take somebody else.
Do you think Alex Smith is playing good because he's finally targeting Travis Kelce and they have like a lot of offensive weapons around him? Or do you think that match is just lit underneath him and he's like, dude, I got to do some shit this year? And he's taking more chances. Like maybe that's it.
He's more confident because he's had multiple good years and he knows he can play, and then they drafted Mahomes, so he knows he has to do that. And I told you this. I talked about this shit beforehand. Why go away from a guy before the season? Why go away from a guy who wins fucking 10 games in a fucking row every year and then goes to the playoffs and has the potential to get you the AFC Championship game and then the Super Bowl? Like, I don't get that.
And I think the cliche...
you gotta play Alex Smith.
I think the cliche answer is the fact that that's what he does, and that's where he maxes out at. And anyone could get the team that far. It's the lack of good play at quarterback that's keeping them away from getting out of the first round of the playoffs. I think that's
always say Tyreek Hill. I mean, when we talked about Ryan Tannehill, who else are they going to get? Ryan Tannehill's not near as good as Alex Smith.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Don't talk like that.
It's just not.
We're not talking about that. We got limited time.
Consistency.
I will.
Tannehill is not.
I will come to your house and I will kill you. Do you know how much Dolphins fans miss Ryan Tannehill right now?
How many playoffs have Tannehill and Alex Smith been?
Well, gosh, let's. I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on. Cheap options at tight end this week. Charles Clay's just been kind of that consistent dude this year. Double digits in 3 out of 4 games. Bills are fine. They kind of ignored him right when they got him. They paid him all that money and then just ignored him. But starting to target him more. He's still only $5,700 against the Bengals. And then Evan Ingram, really like him again. He's only $5,400 against the Chargers. I've looked back at Evan Ingram's stat lines each week. His targets has increased every single week that he's played, and he got 11 targets last week. So they're focusing in on him. So he's going to be one of those guys that as soon as the touchdowns start coming, he's going to be a little bit more expensive. So $5,400 right now for Ingram is a steal.
I think I didn't put it on our sheet, but I know who I was going to play. I like Antonio Gates. Think it's a touchdown week for him. Just feels like it. Gut feeling 4,600. Throw him in the
He's
lineup.
just due.
Yeah, it feels like a touchdown week for him.
Henry scored last week, so now it's Gates' turn.
Yeah, it's my first accidental bold prediction.
Nice. Well, let's do some quick fantasy football start-sit listener questions, and then we'll go into those bold predictions. First one here. DeMarco Murray at Miami or Joe Mixon versus the Bills? A lot of Bengals and Bills talk today.
So this is an interesting one. I'm not touching Joe Mixon, so you have to go DeMarco Murray. I would have liked a better option. Cincinnati's not going to be able to run, and they have too many goddamn running backs, and it's just not a good situation. So play anybody over any of those guys. So I don't think that's a question. I don't even know why it is. I would like DeMarco Murray versus someone else, because I was thinking about this. If Marcus Mariota doesn't play, you have to play both Murray and Henry if you have them.
That's what I was...
Because they're going to run the shit out of the ball with those two.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. I'm actually doing my 5 players that'll decide the Titans-Dolphins game, which has become increasingly depressing every single time I write this article. But so Murray has only had 1 game this year over 50 rushing yards. And if you take away his 75-yard touchdown against Seattle on week 3, He has only 140 yards on 41 carries, so he's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry if you take away that one run. So
Yeah.
he's kind of struggled this year. But in this situation, you nailed it on the head. If Mariota doesn't play, or even if he plays and he's not 100%, they're going to lean on the running game, and you don't really know what you're going to get out of Mixon yet. So I'm with you on this one as well. Let's do one more. CMC, your boy Christian McCaffrey at Detroit, or Andre Ellington at Philly.
Well, I've pretty much nailed Christian McCaffrey so far this year. Or Andre Ellington. I mean, both these guys are only useful if they catch the ball right now.
Right. So who's going to catch the ball is probably what the question is going to be.
Is death not an option?
This is a tough one. I struggle with this one.
Can you pick up anybody else, like me or something? I don't know. I think Christian McCaffrey's the better athlete, so I go him because they're going to try to feature him a little bit more. I don't really trust that Arizona offense, so I'm going to go McCaffrey just because there's more weapons around him to kind of open up area for him.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with McCaffrey as well. It's not a huge lean by any means, but I think I like him a little bit more. I think at some point he's going to find the end zone. And if you're in a debate with when it's Andre Ellington, since it's not like a clear-cut legit starter that you're going to do, I would keep McCaffrey in your lineup over Ellington this week. But it is kind of close because, like you said, it's which running back is going to make the most out of their targets because you can't really rely on either of them to actually get carries.
Yep.
Let's talk about those bold predictions for NFL Week 5. I have got a great one. I basically can already see it happening as I'm watching this game. I'm just envisioning this Dolphins game. And my bold prediction is the Dolphins get on the scoreboard, not just on the scoreboard throughout the entire game. They're going to get on the scoreboard in the first half this week. That alone is a bold prediction.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm going to tell you who and how. Little speed receiver Jakeem Grant, number 19 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. He's going to score the first touchdown of the game for the Dolphins against Tennessee on a deep bomb. Cutler is going to have a little bit of his leash extended. They're going to try to get some playmakers the ball. So don't be expected when Jakeem Grant ends up with a first quarter touchdown for the Dolphins this week.
No fucking chance. I'm going to, I think I just came up with a great idea. I kind of want to take screenshots of, like, our conversations as the Dolphins just get their asses kicked and they suck, and just put them on our Twitter page and see people can see the emotional. Like, you almost, like, put a, like, you know how, like, in emotional relationships, they say you put like, guys and women, girls put a wall up and they just shut down?
That is
like,
me.
You just have no feelings, it kind of feels like at points. Like, you get angry, but then your feelings go away and it's just like, it's
on to the next one.
trying to get you reeled up, but you're, like, so used to it. Like, you get your hopes up before the game, and then you just learn how to just block all the emotions once you're not scoring touchdowns.
You've nailed it because, like, oh gosh, I used to get so pissed, and I'm even, like, more vested now, but, like, and I'm still just as pissed, but I don't wear it on my sleeve just because
where you're, like, making fun of your own team.
Oh yeah. I've trained myself for losses, so to watch your team not score a touchdown for 2 weeks is fucking terrible. But I just blocked it out. I'm like, well, we're on to the next one. So, what are we looking at here for yours?
I'm glad I don't live the life that you have to live.
It's challenging, man. It's real challenging. I got gray hairs and shit going.
I mean, you're blonde, but okay.
Bold prediction, Week 5, DJ.
I go Big Ben. Not my FanDuel quarterback, but I think Big Ben throws 4 touchdowns today. Sunday, back at home. He's back at home. He's excited. Big Ben comes out and does Big Ben home things. And ices his entire body.
That's almost as bold as saying that the Dolphins will score a touchdown this week.
Well, it's not like he doesn't throw a 4-touchdown game every year, though.
He'll throw like a 5-touchdown game every once in a while.
Yeah, I almost predicted 5 touchdowns. But Tampa Bay and New England just start scoring immediately, by the way.
Agreed. But I don't know, man. Against the Jaguars?
Yeah. I don't care.
I don't know, man. I'm in a debate right now in one of my leagues.
Throw it to Le'Veon Bell 4 times.
Right. But I have this Martavis Bryant debate.
Martavis Bryant. So it's a Martavis Bryant week.
I sure hope so. I sat him in one league and I started him in 2 others.
It's a Martavis Bryant week.
No.
It's the same way. It's the same thing that happened against was that the Vikings?
Yeah, when he beat him deep.
It was the same thing. Rhodes on Brown the whole time, and Martavis schools the other cornerback.
Right. Well, let's go out on that one. Thanks again for listening. As always, tweet any questions you have at us at Loaded Box. We'll get them answered.
And tweet at Matthew Berry for us.
Oh, yeah.
We're all blocked.
Yeah, we can't anymore, so you need to help us out with that. So,
Yeah.
well, thanks listening. We're back. Sorry for last week. We'll never let you down again. Send us out.
Bye.